and welcome to another achievement/trophy review. This is a series reviewing games based on the experience of trophy or achievement hunting rather than purely on the game itself. Today we're looking at Donut County, an indie released back in 2018 about a raccoon that swallows up areas of a town with a hole in the ground. While smaller games such as this aren't usually my thing, I heard great things and wanted to give it a go. The premise is pretty simple yet enjoyable. A hole opens up in the ground, and you move it around to collect items around the map. While it starts out small, it opens up the more you devour, and soon you'll be able to collect whole buildings. This game includes no DLC, so with this being on the Xbox ecosystem, all you require is the game itself. Looking at graphics and performance, this was played on the Xbox Series X, and as you could expect, ran very well. Its art style is very pleasing to look at, and the designs of objects and characters have a great charm to them. While I'm unsure of how it would run on the last-gen consoles, I assume since it was originally released on them that you should have no trouble running it on whatever Xbox device you'd like to play it on. The frame rate was stable, the image was pleasing to look at, so I'd classify this section as great. So what can we expect from the achievement list? Well, this game includes your standard story achievements. These pop at a pretty good pace given the length of the game. Additionally, there's a singular collectible style achievement which involves having every item in the game's encyclopedia filled. This may sound daunting at first, but if you gobble everything up throughout each level, you'll have no trouble with this. There are quite a few achievements related to something you may not have done on certain levels. Luckily, none of these are missable due to there being a chapter select. A lot of the content here are side things to be done, so to avoid spoiling too much, we can move on to the tips section. So what would my recommendations be for Donut County? Well, for starters, enjoy the game and play through without any guides. This is a game I found to be quite enjoyable and funny at times, and trying to get through it as quickly as possible with guides ruins the experience a little. That being said, looking at the achievement descriptions themselves don't give away too much or ruin anything. So while I don't recommend looking at a guide, I'd say look at the list itself to get an idea of what might pop up as side content. Then grab it if you notice it. As achievement hunters, I know we like to be efficient, so noting that this doesn't harm the overall enjoyment is worth addressing. For specific achievement tips, Flawless requires you to complete the boss battle without getting hit. While I'll try not to give too much away, it's worth seeing the fight to the end even if you get hit just to see each stage. The pattern will stay consistent, so once you learn what to expect in each section, then start attempting this. You also have more time than expected when attacking back, so don't feel like you need to intensely rush. Try to make good pace, but don't let yourself panic if you make a mistake and aren't moving too fast. For Secret Soup, this requires you to make a recipe shown on a board while being chased by enemies, which will reset you back to square one if you're hit. This caused me a bit of anxiety during my first attempt, and I'd recommend keeping a nice fluid motion in circles when attempting this. This will make more sense when you get to this area, but this isn't as difficult as it seems. A fluid pace in circles will be enough to keep them away. Lastly, Bandit is a secret that requires a certain combination of buttons to be hit. This one I needed a guide for, and I would recommend looking one up after completing the game. My biggest trouble was hitting the buttons, as sometimes they would hit twice and you'd need to reset to a checkpoint. At first I tried to be careful and move slowly, but this just didn't work properly. What ended up working for me was just smashing into it as quickly as I could, then backing out immediately. For some reason, I had better luck like this, so if you're having trouble, be reckless. And that's everything. There wasn't much in this game that gave me trouble, just those few achievements that's worth keeping note of for when you decide to tackle them. So how would I rate the game itself? I'd give this an 8 out of 10. While it's short and I doubt I'd replay it just for the sake of it, the game itself has enough comedy moments and the gameplay loop was always enjoyable to look at and play, so your first playthrough is likely to be a great experience. As for the achievement list itself, I'd give this a 9 out of 10. In my opinion, this is a great list due to the few story achievements scattered throughout. The side content encouraging you to play around with things and try something new, alongside the fact that nothing is missable, makes this fantastic. While most of the game can be quite effortless since the puzzle of completing a level is usually pretty simple, the few achievements that require effort still give you a need to focus up once in a while, without making something so difficult that it feels out of place. This is a nice game to hunt for in between any grindy games, as it feels good to play and has a great list. Lastly, what about the achievement list difficulty? I would give this a 2 out of 10. Like I said, there's a few achievements here and there that require effort, But for the most part, you're just playing the game and messing around. Even the so-called difficult ones can be done in a few tries likely, so you won't be struggling for too long if you get caught up in one. This game is also relatively short, so you won't be feeling worn out by the end. Overall, this is a great game that all achievement hunters should try out. It's not easy enough to be shovelware, and it's outright fun. I hope you enjoyed this achievement review. Have you played through this game yet? Do you plan to in the future? I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening. I hope to see you in the next review.